you really think we come from monkeys, man? Like, I just was like, like, I was just
kidding me.
Yeah, like, seriously, I just was like throwing it back at him, like, hey, like, actually, and then he was like, oh, I don't know.
Greetings to the brightest audience in the country. I'm Fred Williams. Welcome to Real Science Radio.
And I'm Abigail Leish, a software engineer and creation speaker.
Oh, wait a minute. So you're a software engineer and creation speaker. So that was Ryan's line. And that was my line, remember, for years with Bob Enyart.
I'm Bob Enyart. And I'm Fred Williams, creation speaker and caveman engineer.
So you really are a software engineer, but not quite a creation speaker yet, but maybe someday.
I can admit to that, yes. Maybe eventually, someday. Yes.
Well, I wanted to have you on the show because you had a recent short you did for Real Science Radio. And it was about this doomsday asteroid. And, it was really awesome. And we're looking to have you and Nicole McBurney start doing more shorts for us.
Yes.
And Ryan Williams as well, to reach the younger crowd. I mean, it's such a low attention span world we deal in, especially your generation.
Sure.
And so we're going to be pushing more of these out to YouTube and TikTok. And what are the other ones? Instagram
Reels, maybe even Facebook Reels, stuff like that.
Whatever those are. So we'll be doing that though. That's definitely the plan. So, Abby, I wanted you to have you join us in the studio. And just for those who don't know, Abigail is my daughter. She said Abigail Leish because she was recently married in December. I had the honor of walking her down the aisle with Nate Leish, and now she's Abigail Leish.
Yep, now I'm hitched.
That's right. That's right. So, Abby, let's start off. I wanted you to maybe talk about your experience in college. You've been raised in an environment that was pro-creation, pro-Bible, defending the Bible, and you heard me give talks, various times throughout your young life, and, about creation, and, the earth isn't millions of years old as people claim. And so you came into college with a worldview shaped on that. And were you surprised based on your interactions in college? And share us some of the stories there.
Yeah. I would say, honestly, I wasn't surprised about the education aspect and what the university was trying to teach me. I knew that was coming, right?
Yeah.
I was totally anticipating that. However, I will say I was shocked by how many people were so, vocal about it and how much, they'd be willing to talk about it and want to debate with me.
Let the debate begin.
I was definitely very, surprised by that because a lot of people, they were, not antagonizing it, but they were very surprised that I was a creationist and that I believed in creation.
That you opposed evolution. They're taught throughout their lives basically. In high school, starting at grade school, even before then with Dr. Seuss books, but through grade school, middle school, high school, all they hear about if they're in the public school is evolution, and evolution's a proven fact. And so they are surprised when someone actually has a counter view. And unfortunately, I think it's partly because, like the media, nobody's hearing about all the evidence against evolution. They're not, they go to the zoo and they see millions of years. They go to museums, millions of years. They see it on TV. So they're surprised. They're surprised
absolutely.
that you think evolution is a fraud, basically.
Yeah.
So share maybe some of the stories that you had.
Oh my gosh.
Encounters.
Oh yeah, for sure. And I mean, I've got so many, and even just small encounters too, just kind of quick snippets. Someone says, "Oh, you believe in creation? That's interesting." And some people don't really dive deep into it, but I've had, I thought of 4 specific ones that I remember very vividly. And the first one, I wasn't as equipped as I wanted to be, and so that definitely made me kind of, step into it more for the next one. I was a lot more confident because I ended up going to you and did some more research to, kind of have a better backing and more background, because the first encounter I had with this was with some friends from my computer science classes. We were all big friend group and all that. And I was on the phone with them because we were going to, plan to hang out and maybe go over to their house, play some beer pong, whatever, and just just do what college people do, right? But, we were just talking about it, and then all of a sudden, I don't remember exactly, how it got brought up, but it did get brought up that I, believe in creation, and this one guy was just, he wasn't just baffled. I mean, he was almost angry. He's like, how are you in this field, and how are you in CS and believe in evolution? You realize you won't get a job if you believe in creation. If an interviewer finds out that you believe in creation, there's no shot you'll get a job. You won't.
I forgot about
you
that
won't
guy.
land
Yeah,
it.
you wouldn't get a job if you don't believe in evolution. That's total nonsense in
Seriously.
my line of work. But yeah,
Yeah.
so
Yeah, it really took me aback, and it really honestly kind of, initially it kind of, took me down. I was like, oh my gosh, like, is that true? Because I know this world can be so, like, so much pressure there, but then it's like, I didn't even think twice about it when I was interviewing for my internships and for MedPace. I forgot all about that encounter, but when it happened, I was like, man, it's, like, what does he have to say about this? Like, why is that, And then we ended up getting into debates, and he would just get angry because he didn't really, like, have much evidence. And so he'd start, like, attacking, like, my faith, and that's just a common thread with almost all of my stories, is a lot of times the debate just shifts from science to my faith.
boy, that is so typical.
So interesting.
I think that's almost every creationist experience. That you start with the debate on origins and evolution and science, and they have so limited evidence, if any at all. I mean, it's we've just got so much on our side that then they just start attacking the Bible and your faith. That is so common.
Yes, exactly. And
so what was some of the evidence that you presented to them?
Yeah. So like I said, the first one was kind of rough. I was on the phone with him and I didn't have much, but then I would come back
Kind of draw a blank too, because I know you'd see my talks, but it's not like everybody absorbs everything I say.
Yeah, exactly. I didn't have like an actual. No, seriously, you guys need to absorb this.
Absorbing.
But no, I would say, for me, it was, I needed to have a toolbox. And I would say that first experience was kind of like I know what to come with, and then kind of following our phone call, I would have, like text messages with him and stuff. And unfortunately, he would ask me, hey, because I, provide evidence like you asked, is, a lot of the dinosaur DNA. That was a big one. That was like my top tool in the kit. That's the one I always went for because it makes sense to me.
Yeah.
And I would always use that. And I feel like it makes sense to a lot of other people too. It's very, it's an interesting idea.
I think you shared the page that is on our website, Real Science Radio, on all the soft tissue discoveries, dinosaur soft tissue.
Yeah.
Now, how did he react to that?
Oh yeah, he just blew up. I mean, he was like, "Well, this isn't valid because it's from a biased viewpoint." He was saying it's biased because it's from Bob Enyart. He saw KGov. He's like, "That's it's like political / religious. Like, I'm not going to believe this, But then I was like, well, you have to dig deeper and look at these sources that Bob Enyart specifically that he included there. They were all pointing to even secular sources, and that's what. But then they just
Harvard, Stanford, all these major secular universities. This is where these studies were coming from.
Yeah, exactly.
Just,
it was so fascinating, truly.
And so eventually what happened then? I mean, did he come back and say, oh, Abby, you were right. This is all true. Dinosaurs can't be millions of years old.
Unfortunately, he, I really wish I could say he did because he, I really wish that, those things really that he really received it because I mean, a common thread with all of these is that I really want these people to be saved. And that was a true, feeling that I had. And for Joe, we were friends, and I just really wanted to see, him experience the light. And even, despite these evolution topics, we'd also sometimes I'd send him a video of, faith and just hopefully it, lands for him and everything. But yeah, I have another kind of cool story that I want to bring up.
But you did the right approach, because when you're dealing with someone who's been, raised with evolution, they don't have a foundation. So, but they will talk about origins, won't they? They like talking about science and evolution until, once you start piling on with all the evidence that's just destroying their worldview, then they turn to attack the Bible. But you approached it in a great way, I believe, where you provided that foundation, then you gave them the gospel, you gave them some faith things from the Bible, and you planted the seed at least. We'll see what happens down the road. So, so you have. I know you had other encounters. So
yes, I do. That was kind of the first one that I remember. But one of the other ones that I think this was the most vivid one for me was because this was the first one that I was ready. I had stuff ready, and it was kind of came out of the blue. We were just all my friends and I were studying in the library, just doing quizzes or just doing stuff together, working on CS stuff. And then I remember vividly, it's crazy my memory sometimes. I was writing an algorithm or some problem on the whiteboard, and everyone started bringing up evolution, and I just kind of kept writing. I'm like, oh my gosh, like this is crazy. And then eventually this guy was asking, like, oh, my friend Andy, hey, you believe that we're from monkeys too, right? And he's like, oh yeah, we're totally just derived from monkeys, yeah. And it's just like so stupid, right? But then eventually it came around to me, like, hey, do you believe in evolution, Abby? And I was like, no, not at all, actually. I was very
Now, which
like,
class was this?
This was just one of my CS classes.
Okay, so they're actually going around. Okay, that's interesting. Okay.
Yeah, and it wasn't actually in a classroom. This was just like,
just a friend group. Okay,
yes,
gotcha.
yeah. This was just like, we just were like but we had like these consistent meetups. That's what's kind of interesting, is that we were close and we all like, knew each other.
That's
and that's
coming
what's
around.
kinda
Okay, so this
crazy.
is exciting. So then it gets to you and
Yeah, and I no doubt was so nervous. I mean, especially like, I'm younger at that time, and I'm like the only girl in this group, and it's already just intimidating doing the work and everything with them, which obviously worked out. But I was shaken. I was so nervous about it. But I remember I was like standing firm, and I was saying, yeah, no, I believe in creation, and that I'm created by God, and so is everybody else in the world, and you guys too, and I believe in a creator God. And I was really proud to say that, and everybody, I mean, the whole dynamic shifted. The room felt like it changed, which was super interesting, because some people were curious, but some people were like almost angry, like they were like, that's so like, that's what, it just, because I think it kind of punches them in the stomach of like, wait, this is like, I've been believing this like my whole life. And so yeah, it was the older guy that's in our group. He was like 30. He went back to get his degree. And he was asking me a lot of questions. He ended up Discording me after, because we all had like a Discord server chat.
Okay.
And he would message me like, hey, can you send me that stuff that you were talking about? Because I started, bringing up some of the evidence. And I mainly focused on like, how do you guys really think like information came about? Like, you can't just say it just Big Bang, because that guy was very adamant, like, Big Bang, we just all came about. It's like, but that has to come from something, come from an informer. So
yeah, and you being a computer engineer, computer scientist, your degree, where does the information come from? Well, you got code and DNA, right? And so you can appeal to information with someone who's in that discipline.
Yes.
So how did that work out? I mean, it sounded like you were making some progress, because the guy was responding and you got in a Discord chat, which is really cool. It's making them think about it at the very least.
Yeah.
A lot of people aren't hearing any of this. Can you imagine he was 30 years old roughly?
Yeah,
You've gone 30 years without hearing anything. I went about 30 years without hearing hardly anything about creation.
Wow.
I was old Earth, for sure. I didn't think we really evolved from monkeys, but I was old Earth until about age 30.
Dang.
And I was shocked how much evidence there was against an old Earth and how much evidence there is for a young Earth. I mean, I think the Earth is old. I think 6,000 years is really old. I mean, that's huge Codger stuff.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, totally.
But millions of years, no, there's so much evidence against it. So, okay, so this guy, anything ever happened with that? Any follow-ups, or was that pretty much it? But
Yeah, unfortunately, that was pretty much it. He never really followed up with me, and I always wish that I had that follow-up of like, man, I really came to a turnaround and everything, but no, yeah, nothing. It was really just the day that happened, it was that night that he ended up Discording me and was like, hey, can I have some of these, like I need you to back this up. Like, I don't think you're actually like legitimate right now. and so I had to like bring the sources and everything. And he was actually like, he was very, at least, as opposed to the first experience, he was very like initially, had emotions about it. But then eventually he started really kind of being like warming up to it, like, wow, that's actually really interesting. And then he would ask questions,
that's cool.
Which I thought was really cool of him, that he, reached out to me and he was actually curious, because that's what gets
a lot of people started. A lot of people are like him.
I know.
And,
yeah. Because that's what's really cool, is his mind was open to it, at least.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
yeah. So maybe who knows? Maybe he eventually reaches his conclusion, but
yeah.
yes.
Well, that's interesting. I don't think I'd heard that story about being in your group together, and them asking about monkeys and.
Oh yeah.
Wow.
And then Andy was like, and then I asked Andy, because Andy, we were really close. Him and I were really good friends, actually. And I asked him, I was like, yeah, like I mean, like, you really think we come from monkeys, man? Like, I just was like. Like, I was just
kidding me.
Yeah, like, seriously, I just was like throwing it back at him, like, hey, like, actually, and then he was like, oh, I don't know. And so it kind of goes to show, like, that he kind of was like stunted, like he was almost like, stunted in his tracks a little bit. And I'm like, hey, hopefully he eventually comes to it. But
Yep.
yeah, but
So what got you, so now you did a short for Real Science Radio. We've got many more planned for you to do.
Yeah.
So, oh, by the way, we'll go ahead and show that Abby's first short for Real Science Radio. And I don't know, there's this Astro Alexandria. We've mentioned her before. She's a secular person who does shorts for NASA, these 1-minute shorts. So should we call you Astro Abigail?
I'd like that.
Yeah, okay, so anyways, here's Abby's short that she did for Real Science Radio on a particular asteroid that just might smash into Earth. Maybe not. Anyways, here's that short.
Asteroid 2024, YR4, its chances of hitting Earth in 2032, rising. Scientists are watching it closely. But here's the twist. NASA had discovered materials on asteroids and comets that are only found on Earth. One of them, serpentinite, found at the mid-oceanic ridge, of all places. A giant crack across the world, like stitches on a baseball. Could this serpentinite be a remnant from the fountains of the Great Deep as mentioned in Genesis during the global flood? And if so, could this asteroid 2024, YR4, a remnant from a past judgment, be part of a future one? Let me know what you think in the comments.
Okay, Abby, that was such a cool short, and
right.
appreciate you doing that. There's so many more, and we're going to get out little tidbits like this, little tidbits of information to hopefully pique people's interest, and they can tune into Real Science Radio and learn a lot more about science that supports the Bible. So,
Yes.
do you have any other? Oh, before we do that, Abby,
Oh, yes.
just by tradition, I have to ask you an interesting fact of the week. I want to see how you do. See how you compare to your brother.
Yes. I know, I was going to say.
Yeah.
I watched the other episodes, and I'm curious about if I can,
Okay.
match up, because they do pretty good.
Well, this one's not an easy
Yeah.
one. We'll see if you can get it.
Okay,
but,
okay.
Okay, and I'm getting ready here with the big red buzzer.
Oh, my.
Okay, here it is. The apple is part of which family?
Family of fruit, as in?
Yeah, it's a family of, what family is it categorized in? I told you that wasn't an easy one.
Family.
And I'll give you a clue. It's,
Yeah, give me a clue, just as a thought.
well, it's red.
Well, that's great.
It's a,
That's so helpful.
it's actually, I'll give you a really good clue. It's something that you might get on Valentine's. And you wouldn't think it would be part of that family.
Huh. Oh, like sweets? Like treats?
Yeah, but what family, would it be like what kind of plant would it maybe be from?
Oh. Roses? Hey!
Should have given you already.
Oh, I know, and you gave me too many
I
hints as
didn't
well.
get to buzz my daughter. Okay, I won't.
You gave me too many.
Here you go.
That
What's
was
the
too nice.
airspeed
He was being way too nice.
What's the airspeed velocity of a European swallow?
Oh, I know.
I guess I have to go.
No, yes.
Okay, well, good job.
Oh, well,
Good job,
thank
Abby.
you. Thank you.
Okay, so
Oh, that's actually really interesting that it's under the
family of Rose. It's the Rose family. Yep.
Interesting.
So, do you have any other stories to share from college?
I mean, I have maybe one more, because I mean,
Okay, sure.
the other example was kind of like just a time with my coworker, but it was really brief. But
Yeah.
the other experience that was pretty memorable was actually this experience. We weren't really dating, but there was this tutor of mine, and I was like kind of interested in him. Obviously,
Is Nate going to be watching this?
I know, I was gonna say, I was like, oh my gosh, I shouldn't be saying this. But it was really interesting because I think that because of that, it maybe allowed him to maybe be more curious, I guess. And so that was really interesting. But obviously we were hanging out, and eventually it got brought up, and he's like, oh, hey, we need to take a pause on this, because he's like, I want us to come prepared. So then he had us meet up and actually bring evidence. He had his stuff and I had my stuff.
Oh, really?
Isn't that
so?
so
It all started
interesting?
with you. Somehow it came up, and now you're both going to bring your evidence.
Yes,
Okay.
exactly. And I remember I was nervous because I had a whole notebook and everything, and then eventually
What
he
was
just
his
grabbed
degree? Was he computer science?
He was actually, I think, neuroscience, actually.
Oh, okay. So
he-
he's going to get into more of the biological sciences,
Yeah.
molecular biology and stuff.
Yeah, because
Okay.
he was the guy that was mentioning how he wanted to bring up these data points, or how he wants to run into his database and extract some data to prove the stuff about I think it was the Y chromosome thing. Because he also did biology
yeah.
as well. I think that his degree was biology.
So
something
you
like
gave
that.
him the Y chromosome argument. Can you share that argument quickly with the audience?
Yeah. So I just, presented to him that obviously people claim that humans are 98% similar to chimps and obviously monkeys, whatever. But actually, when you look at the Y chromosome, there's only like a 30% similarity, and which is like not anything. That's not even.
It actually was a 30% difference, but it was still that's way too much.
Yes, exactly.
And so
yeah.
you're telling him this 30% thing, and he's thinking there's 98% similarity.
Yeah.
And so then what's the reaction there?
Oh, you know what's funny about his reaction? Oh, he was just. He flipped out. He goes, I need a break. He's like, I need to go to the bathroom. And he literally, like, he got up. Because, again, it was really, that's why it's hard to, like, tell these stories, too. Because, like, there was a lot of, like, frustration on their end. And, like, for this example, like, I think he just, like, pushed his chair aside and then went out, went to the bathroom and just, he had to, like, cool down. Because, and then eventually when he came back, that's when he started saying, well, your faith, there's no reason, there's no logic. How can you, be assured?
He couldn't deal with
that
scientific evidence, so he stared attacking your faith.
Yep, exactly. And then it's interesting because then he started asking, which was really interesting. He asked about like how we can prove that the lineages, like the genealogy ages, all add up to 2000. I think that he was like questioning that. He goes, we don't really. I think that he was saying like he's like I did the math and it doesn't like add up to 6,000 or something. And but then it's like now I'm thinking about it. It's like I was like you just look at it. It's like this is like real.
It's documented in the Bible. You could add them up. Now it could. Now some people you could add them up to 6,000. There could be gaps, and it could be 7,000. But it's not 10 millions and millions of years.
Yes, exactly.
So the Bible's not a science book, but when it touches on science, it's always accurate. So So now he's wondering, oh man, so this could support the Bible. The Y chromosome, there's no way it could be 30% different. If we're supposedly evolved from a chimp-like ancestor 5 million years ago, that just can't happen. And the Y chromosome is, not that susceptible to change like that. So that was a good argument you presented him.
Yeah.
I remember you had asked me some stuff, and that's always been one of my favorite, because the scientists who discovered the differences in the Y chromosome being at least 30%, if not more, even up to 47%. He said that the differences were, do you remember?
I think it was horrendous.
Horrendous, yeah. Is that a scientific term, Abby?
It sounds not
it's not very.
It doesn't sound very scientific.
Because it totally challenges their worldview on evolution and the whole nonsense of us being related to chimps. It just totally refutes it. The whole ENCODE project. We love having Sal Cordova on. We've got many more guests coming up that are in that same area of genetics, and it's just totally refuted. Totally refuted evolution.
Wow.
It's fun stuff.
That is really fun. That is that's the best stuff as well.
Yeah. Well, thanks for sharing that, Abby, with us. It's great having you on the team. We're looking forward to some more YouTube shorts, and we're going to get those pushed out to all the different things you guys watch on your phone.
Yeah.
Abby's helping with that also, because I don't know what I'm doing, but we're getting accounts and all of those. So be looking for those, and just continue to tune into Real Science Radio. And you can help us out too, because we don't have a big mega church behind us, right, Abby? Is there any church that's behind us?
I don't think so.
No.
I mean, maybe.
So we could use your help. Our production team's doing a great job, and all this stuff doesn't come for free. So if you really like this video and if you want to support the program, please do so. You can go to rsr.org/sponsor and sponsor a show, or on the YouTube channel, there's a donate button. And hey, especially subscribe to the channel and like this video. And so
comment.
More people can. That's right. Thank you. So that more people can see this. So, Abby, it's great having you on the team. And I thank you for taking the time to come in and sit in with us on this interview with Real Science Radio.
Absolutely.
Great to have you on board. So.
Of course. Yeah. It's so fun to be able to share. So
great.
Love being on. So.
So for my co-host of today, Abigail Leish, I'm Fred Williams of Real Science Radio. May God bless you.